Rising. Happy Friday. I pray everybody woke up in a positive, productive mindset today. If you didn't, I pray that your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, and of course the Most High help you with that today. I also pray that He clothes us in His armor from head to toe, that He strengthens our discernment and guides our steps as we go throughout our day. That being said, I'm here with the Daily Devotion from Sarah Young's Jesus Calling for October 11th, 2024. I am the accumulation of all your hopes and desires. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, who is and was and is to come. And before you knew me, you expressed your longing for me in hurtful ways. You were ever so vulnerable to the evil around you in the world. But now my presence safely shields you, enfolding you in my loving arms. I have lifted you out of darkness into my marvelous light. Though I have brought many pleasures into your life, not one of them is essential. Receive my blessings with open hands. Enjoy my good gifts, but do not cling to them. Turn your attention to the giver of all good things, and rest in the knowledge that you are complete in me. One thing you absolutely need is the one thing you can never lose: my presence with you. She references Psalm 62 verses 5 through 8, Revelation chapter 1 verse 8, 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9, and James chapter 1 verse 17. You know, it's an ever-going trend. It's something that comes up often in our daily devotion and just in our conversation. Clinging to material things will lead you in a very wrong direction. The more you do that, the more you lose track of what's really important. And it's very easy for that to happen because of the world that we live in. They want to keep us distracted and consumed by the material so that we don't realize or we don't see the things that we should be giving our time and energy to. History is a great teacher. And as I've said in a couple of my videos lately, you know, I would not consider myself a good student. I wasn't. I got very restless in class. It was very difficult for me to pay attention because I had no interest in the topics that were being taught or discussed. It's easier to be a good student when you actually have a desire to learn whatever topic it is. But it's all part of the world's plan. That being said, history is a great teacher. And if you take the time to go back and educate yourself on the true history, not only of this country, but of this world and of this universe, and, you know, all the small hidden details that for the most part are right there in plain sight. But because of the programming that we've had our whole lives, we don't even see it for what it truly is. We see it the way the world wants us to see it. And this world is full of distractions. And it's so easy to get caught up in all that before you know it, you're completely disconnected from your spiritual self, from the spiritual side. There's a whole nother world out there that people miss every day because they're surrounded by buildings and concrete and ungodly people. There are a lot of good people out in the world, but there are also a lot of dangerous, dirty, deceitful people in the world. And when we become disconnected from that spiritual self, it becomes harder and harder to discern which people are the good people and which people aren't good people. Because people have gotten so good at deception that it's hard to tell the difference. And the sad thing is the people that are really, really, really good at deception, they get to the point where they believe their own deceptions. They believe the lies that they've told, whether those lies were to boost their own self or to bring somebody else down. And I say it many times, you don't see it until you come out of it. Once you get sucked into that vortex of that person, place, or thing, once you get sucked into that portal, that black hole, it's so hard to come back out of it. You know how like when you go underwater without goggles on and you open your eyes underwater and then you come back up, you know, your eyes are all blurry and it takes a while for, you know, you got to keep blinking until you can see properly again. It's the same effect, just with your spiritual eye instead of your physical eyes. Whew. It's a deep hole. And whether you're on the good side, in a good hole or in a bad hole, it's very easy to get sucked in and consumed by it, to where you become oblivious to the outside world around you. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, that world is a complete delusion that either we create ourselves or that somebody else creates. Some of us are so desperate to be loved, be accepted, be productive, be important to the world, that we do really dumb stuff. And I've said it for years, and I can speak from experience. Because no matter how much we want to, none of us want to admit it, that we've been in those places in our lives where we've been so desperate that we were willing to do anything to get whatever it was that we were seeking. Whether it's a job, a spouse, a property, a possession. No matter what it is, desperate people do dumb shit. If you're desperately hungry, if you haven't eaten in days, and you let that emotion and those physical and spiritual feelings take over, you'd be willing to do some stuff that you may not have ever thought you would consider doing. Because you're so disconnected from the truth, from the whole point of it all. And the world doesn't make it easy to be connected. It will do anything in its power to tear you down and to put you in that desperate situation to where you'll cave. Oh, well, if this happens and this happens and this happens, they'll be so low down that they'll be willing to do anything to pull themselves back up. I've seen it. I've done it. I have literally broke my own heart because I've been so disconnected and so desperate that I was willing to do some dumb shit. Thankfully, not everybody gets there to that point of desperation. You know, I don't know how it is for other people. I'm not other people. I don't know how they think. I don't know how they feel. I don't know how they process information. You know, I've been watching a lot of clips about Temple Grandin, and I've always been just inspired by her. And I really learned who she was initially when I was 11:11 on the timer, when I was researching autism for my son when he was still really little, and it was brought to my attention that, you know, there may be some issues there. So I took it upon myself to start researching it and learning, which is in turn how I discovered that I myself am also autistic, neurodivergent, however you want to say it, in the spectrum. But it was in researching it for him that I was like, because my son is a lot like me. And I think his dad might be a little bit on the spectrum too. But nonetheless, he's a lot like me. And there have been certain times in my life where certain things have happened. And I can look back now and be like, yeah, that was it. Some very cruel things. Very depressing and disheartening things, situations, instances. So not only was I concerned for my son's well-being, but then I had to go, and still am, going back and trying to heal all these wounds from where I was mistreated and taken advantage of and manipulated and deceived. So much to the point that I believed there was something wrong with me. And when we get stuck in that mindset, we become very desperate for all kinds of things. Some more than others. But when we get in that frame of mind of just wanting to understand, it breaks us free from the illusion. And breaking free can be difficult. It can be painful. It's a very eye-opening and heart-opening experience, but not in a good way. It hurts. But it's so important that we stop letting this world control every aspect of our lives to the point to where it controls how we feel about ourselves, how we look at ourselves. I feel like women are more vulnerable to that because we're very emotional beings, and this world very much manipulates and deceives us when it comes to our emotions. But it's very important to have that determination to want to get better every day. Learn more. Pull away from all these things that we have been taught so much over the years, and very much here lately, can be gone in the blink of an eye. Everything, your whole life, just washed away in a matter of seconds. It's painful. But it makes you realize what's really important in the first place. And that's why a lot of those things, that's why we go through a lot of those things. All right, I'm about out of time. As always, be grateful for what you have. If you see a need out there today, tomorrow, next week, if there's any possible way that you can fill that need, please do so. You may not only better their day, but you could possibly change their life. Be blessed, find peace, and I'll see you next time.